If you have followed my work, the missing 411 research, you know that the places where people vanish are often described as beautiful, isolated, and inexplicably strange. But what if these locations are tied to something far bigger? Something we were told to forget, or worse, never knew existed in the first place? I have just returned from the Olympic Peninsula of Washington State, a place of stunning, aggressive wilderness, where the very air seems to hold secrets. What I heard, what I remembered, and what I uncovered there connects the dots between military secrets, unimaginable technology, and a century-old disappearance on one of America's most volatile mountains. I was in Ocean Shores, Washington, for a major paranormal conference, and we had incredible speakers, each sharing pieces of the grand puzzle. But one story, in particular, shook me because it ties directly into the pattern of high strangeness that defines my entire investigation. It came from a retired Air Force captain, a man who was once in charge of nuclear missile silos in Minot, North Dakota. He recounted an event from the 1,960 seconds. A silent, fast-moving UFO flew over the restricted airspace, and simultaneously 10 nuclear missiles were completely shut down, rendered useless, neutralized by a craft that possessed technology we can barely fathom even today. The response from the high command was instant and absolute. Silence. A direct order. It never happened. Don't talk about it. Forget what you saw. But these veterans speak now, and this is the same critical incident I highlighted in my film. Missing 411, the UFO connection, detailing parallel events at places like Warren Air Force Base. The captain believes whatever it was had power that simply defies physics. No way it was from this world. And the security guards outside said in a flash, the object went straight up and was gone. Before the conference, we drove deep into the heart of the Olympic National Park, a land of giants. A temperate rainforest receiving over 100 inches of rain annually. This park is overgrown. It is lush. And it is a known missing 411 cluster zone. A place where the rules of reality seem to be suspended. We visited the trailhead where an individual disappeared, one of the many difficult cases we have worked. And the mystery still hangs heavy in the air. How does a person vanish without a trace in a location where the parking lot is full, where hundreds of eyes pass by every single day? Unless an unseen force is at work, the Olympic Peninsula is just one part of the greater Pacific Northwest, an area teeming with documented high strangeness. Today, we are going a little further south, to the foot of one of the most mysterious places on the planet, Mount St. Helens. The amount of anomalies that have occurred there are literally off the charts. St. Helens is a powerful nexus, a magnet for the inexplicable. In 1924, just 11 years after the event we will discuss, it was the site of the infamous Bigfoot incident involving miners and thrown rocks at a location now ominously named Ape Canyon. And in Missing 411, the UFO connection, we highlighted a case where a Weyerhaeuser logging crew saw a UFO, a definite craft, fly up a canyon. It hovered over a herd of elk, picked one up without any visible grappling hooks, and simply flew away with it, leaving the crew terrified beyond measure. The workers refused to return to the job site. They were afraid, and I quote, "That thing is going to take us," a profound statement of fear from men who faced danger daily. It is into this volatile landscape of documented strangeness, of Sasquatch, UFOs, and unexplained disappearances, that the story of the Smiths unfolds. The year was 1913. The missing Clinton Smith, a brilliant electrical engineer, and his wife, Iris Smith, an equally sharp woman, both only 22. They were planning a dream vacation to summit Mount St. Helens, and wisely, they hired a professional climbing guide, George Williams, knowing the risks of the high peaks. Williams reported that the weather turned hostile very quickly. 100 feet from the summit, sleet and thick clouds hit them like a wall. Finally, just 50 to 70 feet from the top, they were engulfed by sudden, violent winds, a cyclonic burst of 50 to 60 miles per hour. Williams, the guide, immediately decided it was too dangerous, a decision that saved his life and the life of their friend. Randolph Carroll, he told Clinton they had to turn back. And though there was hesitation, that dangerous summit fever, they all began their retreat down the snowy slope. Williams and Carroll led the way, continually looking back, and the Smiths were right there, keeping pace in the treacherous conditions. But then, about 500 to 1,000 feet below the summit, he turned for the 5th time, and bango, the Smiths were simply gone. The separation was instantaneous, complete, and terrifying. The wind made shouting useless. They had vanished as if stepping into a void. Williams had no choice but to guide Carroll down to safety, and the storm then sat on the mountain for 10 long days, erasing every single trace of the couple. A massive search began, and on July 15th, they found Clinton's body halfway up the mountain, likely dying instantly from a fall. But here is where the story defies all logic. The classic missing 411 pattern begins to emerge in the fog of 1913. The searchers were convinced Iris had to be within 50 feet of him. They had been together, holding on to each other, right? But the very next day, Iris's body was found 1,000 feet below Clinton's location in an area that had been thoroughly combed just hours before. She was seemingly uninjured, but deceased, and contemporary articles noted her body was in a very good state of preservation, a chilling detail that points away from simple exposure. How did she, a person who struggled to keep up with the men, descend further down that mountain without injury, only to appear later in a previously searched area? How did the Smiths, two intelligent people, lose sight of their lifeline, the guide, and separate from each other in the middle of a killer storm? The point of separation, the lack of explanation for their descent, the strange weather, and the cluster zone location, it all screams missing 411. The mountain holds its secrets, and the sheer strangeness of our world is absolutely real. But there is also a quiet tragedy that often follows these events. This brings me to the other powerful theme of my trip, the utter devastation caused by loss and the importance of addressing mental health. I spoke openly about my own profound struggle and about my son, Ben, about how suicide can destroy families and leave an unfathomable void. On the flight home, in a 1 in 100,000 chance, I ran into the grief counselor who had helped me and my family through the darkest times. She shared a story about a young man, a model student who had already lost his brother, but then his mother took her life as well. The family was broken, totally shattered, forced to move out of the valley entirely because the weight of the tragedy was too heavy to carry. The pain is real, and the loss is absolute. We are living in tough times. And if you think mental health isn't a serious life and death topic today, you need to open your eyes. Suicide is a huge cause of death in kids under 25. And the impact of this profound, unexpected loss can be a crushing burden for those left behind. From the captain who saw 10 nukes disabled by a UFO, to the Smiths who vanished in a flash storm in a mountain cluster zone, to the silent epidemic of grief that follows loss. These threads of the unexplained and the devastating are all around us, often hiding in plain sight, waiting for us to pay attention. I don't have all the answers. I just present the facts, the strange criteria, and the locations, hoping to make the puzzle a little clearer. The point of separation, the lack of logic, the strange preservation of a body, it is all part of the unwritten narrative of Missing 411. Do your own research, but be careful what you look for. And if you support this work, please visit my website, nabigfootsearch.com. Stay safe out there. Be aware of your surroundings. And never stop looking for the answers that the wilderness and the unseen forces are keeping from us.